What's going on, Danny Crew? It's Danny Drew here, and we are back for another day of Catan. In today's video, we have a game review featuring Dory 7502, and also as a special little feature, we have a special guest that will be joining the commentary booth, the one and only, the legend, Rayman. How we doing, buddy?
Doing good, thanks, Drew. Excited to look at this game.
Awesome. Yeah, man. So we've done actually quite a few of these game reviews before, but this is going to be the first one where we're bringing on a guest, and it's going to be an interesting balance. You and I, obviously, we've played at a high level for a long time, and we've learned a lot about each other's styles, and we do have, I think, distinct styles. So I think there will be a lot of cases where we are going to agree, but then there's going to be certain cases where we might deviate, and I think that's also an interesting conversation from a strategy point of view. So if you guys are ready, Pern, Pokey, we got the whole crew here as well. I think we get the video started. Ray, they've heard me say like a million times related to my point of view at looking at a fresh board. Maybe looking at this board, like how would you start to dissect it? Would you look at individual resources? What's your strategy, right, when you see a board? What's the first thing you think about?
I think for me, it's kind of like the resource scarcity. So for each of the 5 resources, which ones are like the most available, which ones are the rarest. And then after that, it's kind of looking at the big production spots. And if you can find a spot that has both rare resources and lots of production, that's usually a spot you want to take. Not all the time, but
okay,
kind of a good guide for you.
Do you find, knowing that you love your development cards and it's obviously served you very well, do you tend to gravitate towards the ore and the wheat, or is it really just ore dependent?
Yeah, I think in general, ore and wheat are more valuable resources. Like I've seen people say that like ore and wheat are worth like 1.2 and sheep might be worth like 0.8 or something like that. So for sure, if you can find a spot that's like high production and or wheat, that's pretty great. But
yeah. Okay. So then with that being said, looking at this board, I'll give you my quick little take on it, which is, I like to look at the individual resources. And again, I like to get that same sense as you do, where it's like, what's the rarity? Essentially, what's valuable? And especially when you're going first or second pick, because you really don't know how the board's going to place out, you want something that's going to give you a little bit of versatility. So I also value diversity of resources as well on my first pick. Unless I can get like a super strong ore wheat spot or a strong wood brick spot, I like to have that high production and flexibility in my setup. It's an interesting board here, right? Because it feels like it's relatively balanced. There's a ton of wood, a lot of brick. Brick's practically maxed out. Wheat's a very interesting thing here, where there's only kind of one really big wheat spot, the 843 up in the top right hand corner. Sheep's also kind of a tricky thing. The ore wheat sheep situation it's a little awkward, don't you think, on this board?
yeah, I think so. I think it's going to be tough to get enough sheep to consistently dev, especially if someone takes 659 as opposed to 5910. Like the 10 sheep on the right, nobody might settle on it until like early middle game. So if 659 gets taken, so at that point you really only have the 9 sheep for devs. So it might not be a high dev game.
So looking like Dory's here in the second position, Pern's in the third position, I guess what would you say is like your first few picks here and why?
Yeah, it's a tough call. I think it's not a great board for first and second because there's like multiple spots that are like pretty viable. You've got 659 if you want to play road. I think the 5810 on the left is just a strong spot with so much ore and brick. You're hoping for something like 6311 as 8th with that. And then the 693 up top is also decent. Like it's the best sheep, and there's the brick port. Probably gonna the top left 693. Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
A pretty good spot too.
Brickport plays pretty easily. Yeah.
Yeah, the wheat is super rare, so having the 843 as well is it might make sense, but it's a bit low production. But it's an idea.
You might, I guess maybe best case for the 843 is maybe something like the 910 2-point left. And if you can get onto the 5-2 with a couple decent trades of this additional wheat, That's a pretty good setup, I would say. Like that's, I'd say the best or wheat sheep that you could probably have on this board. So
Yep.
yeah, I think for me, there's kind of 3 picks that I would be really looking at here in first and second. 843 for the rarity of the wheat, 695 just huge production, and then you get kind of the built-in road game. And pointing right could get you to the potential wood port, and picking up the sheep while you're at it. Then I think the 810-5 is pretty nice, but then again, like given the wheat situation, I'm not so sure this player is even going to get wheat. Maybe the 6311 point left or point right. So it's, I mean that could that could work for sure, but
Yep.
it's a tricky setup either way. So, all right, well, why don't we start the game? Let's kind of see how things shape up, and then as as we're going, we can obviously add some additional insights and commentary. I guess if we had to put a gun to your head, Ray, what would be the pick here for you, like for first?
It's tough. I would probably do like 5-8-10 and hope for 6-3-11 because I know I probably have to 4-1 a sheep for the settlement, but I bet other people would be 4-1ing for sheep too because there's just so little sheep.
Yeah,
Like 5-8-10.
yeah. I mean, I think people like. I always try to say like for your first pick, I mean, you should find some kind of advantage, right? Because otherwise, like, what's the point of taking it? If you can't say you're doing the best in some way, shape, or form. And clearly the 5-10-8 gives you the ore advantage. It's really going to, I feel like because of the layout of this board, yes, you're going to have an advantage on ore, but it doesn't mean much if you don't know how to trade with it effectively and use it effectively too. So it kind of feels like you're going to have to trade to be successful with that setup versus like, maybe the 8-3-4 might just be a little bit more straightforward if you do get that 9-10-2 and you're just playing, drop a city by devs, right? So there's also something to be said about how difficult is that setup to play given the player's skill set.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think if you're confident that 9-10-2 will be there for you, then I prefer that setup over 5-8-10-6-3-11.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, if you think it's going to be 5-8-10, 9-10-11, and the ore is going to get locked up, and maybe 8-3-4 won't appear as well. We'll see.
That's true. I mean, maybe whoever takes 8-4-3 is going to get that 9-10-11. Ooh, 8-4-3. That's kind of a interesting pick, right? I mean, I see what they're doing, right? Which is they do get 3 unique resources, a little bit on the lower production side, but they do have this isolated wheat, which is, it is valuable in some way here, and maybe 5-4-11 could pair with that, which is not the world's worst pick, but just a little awkward as a first pick, I think.
Yeah, not a huge fan. It wasn't one of the spots we were looking at because the
Yeah.
half of the total 10 pips here, so 5 pips are brick, and I don't think you're going to get a lot of trades for the brick. So,
well, it's kind of like I think that player's thinking about their game in isolation. They're saying like, I'm going to get the wheat, I'm going to get the road building. Versus, again, you don't just you don't have an advantage, right? Like, there's going to be a lot of brick here. You have the least amount of wood. And if like you really value the wheat, then you should probably just go 8-4-3 anyways, and then you could pick up brick on the way back. So I see what they're doing, but I just don't think it's got enough juice here in first.
no.
All right, we got Dory here. Yeah, I mean, I think we pretty much just stand by the analysis that we had for first, right? Because first didn't take the key picks there. I could see a case literally for all 3 of these picks, even 6-9-3. Given the fact that he could play off the brick port. I don't dislike it, especially given the rarity of the sheep. But 8-4-3, 5-8-10, these are just solid picks, high production, good resources. Would you ever play with this 6-9-5 situation? I mean, it's so much, it's like so many dots, man.
Yeah, I think especially the expansions on the, if you go 6-9-5 right, 9-10 is 7 pips, and then 5-10 also 7 pips, and then you get the wood port later on. It's like a nice like late game pickup. So yeah, it's definitely viable here. You're hoping for 9-4-11 maybe.
I think that's a fantastic setup, honestly. Like 9-4-11 points right, 6-9-5 points right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Honestly, I can't fault him for doing this. I think it's a fun pick to me. Like my style, I love playing road. I like playing with production. You just get cards, you get options here. But okay, he's probably not going to buy a lot of development cards given the options on this board. All right, Pern is in the third position. I mean, kind of feels like an 8-4-3 angle here, right? Just get the best wheat.
So. It's going to be tough to lock up all the ore here. So he's going to get starting ore, and then he's got a lot of wheat production to city quickly off that. So I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's like he either gets the 5-8-10, the 9-10-11, or even the 6-9-3, you know, depending on how he's feeling here. Which I don't even hate these picks because he gets, if he goes 6-9-3, he gets all the space, he gets the tradable wheat. So we'll see if Pern recognizes that. Booperinos, what's good? And second, I'm going 8-5-10. That's for sure. That's what Crane says. Yeah, I mean, I feel the issue, Crane, with the 8-5-10 is you're kind of at the mercy of the board in terms of getting the other resources. And the port play's not good on the 8-5-10, right? Like sheep port and wheat port. So either you're 4-for-1ing your life away or you're trading your life away. It's like it's a tricky situation there. Man, Ray, how much do you love fourth here?
I mean, 8-4-3, 9-10-11, buy some devs and, you know, keep orange pinned down. I think leaving orange 6-9-3 in the brick port is a little dangerous, but if you're buying knights, you know, you share the 9 sheep so they can't really ever block your dev production, and then you just get them all game.
Now,
pretty good.
How big brain is it to go 8-4-3, 6-9-3, and you just stop all this fun? Or you think
Drew, I know you like that because it's 6-9-3 and side by side, so it's like that's your jam. But I think it's very hard to play ranked without ore. Like people in ranked don't trade as much as on Discord, and I think getting your 3 ores to city and then more ores to pot, it's just hard. But I don't think it's bad. I just think I prefer the easy game here.
No, I agree. Yeah, I mean, I would say that's the meta setup or the meta breaking setup, right? Because you're really like picking a setup that you need to be trading to be successful. But if the table doesn't want to trade you or whatever the case is, you're kind of in a world of pain. But controlling the wheat does have some value, right? I feel like there's a lot of situations where you can get like an ore plus a card in the early stages to get that city up and running. But yeah, if you don't know what to do, like take the simple setup, because let's be honest, it's simple to play. Oh.
Yay.
We haven't predicted anything yet, have we?
Nope.
Like, what do you take here? You taking the 8-4-3, right? I mean, you can't leave 8-4-3.
Like the starting road more, or do you like having the tradable wheat at the start more?
I like the road, but honestly, I can see a case for both, right? Like, I think that wheat's going to be pretty valuable early on because no one's going to really start with a lot of wheat. So, probably wouldn't be that hard to get 2 cards for that wheat. Oh my god.
He left 8-4-3 to orange.
Oh. Damn.
Pretty scary.
Damn. Well, Pern, don't if you want to take your time and act like you don't know where to go, that's fine. But I mean, yeah, there you go. Okay, all right. So let's take a pause really quick. Lucid, thank you so much. I've caught a stream, love the YouTube content. You've helped me improve a lot. I appreciate that, man, and glad to have you here. So for those who don't know, just real quick, we are doing a student game review. I've got myself and also the legend Rayman here. And we're going to try to break this game down step by step, kind of look at the moves really from Dory's perspective. But we've also got Pern in here. So he was in this game, and he just got, I think, probably the best setup on the board. Like, if you had to say what was the best setup, I mean, I would have to say what he got. So, okay, that's a challenge. Ray, what do you like here for Dory on the way back?
It's not super easy, but I think I don't want to leave 9, 10, 11. I think it's the ore they need. It's the rare sheep.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I'm looking at 9-10-2, 9-10-11, that area. I don't think 6-3-11 playing an Orless game is going to work out too well. And leaving 9-10-11 is exactly what blue wants, so
Yeah,
some defensive value there.
there is too. Yeah, I mean, also at the same time, blue's probably going to be going for devs, given the fact that they're the only person that would have the or wheat sheep in that situation. Maybe there's a deal potentially to say, hey, blue, like you probably need to fight devs, right? Because orange is a juggernaut, and then maybe you get like a sheep or something, right, just to get to your first settle, or maybe you get like an orange sheep or something to leave him that spot. Maybe
And
that's.
where would you want to go? You'd want to take.
I'd probably take the bottom of the board and play road. It's not ideal, but maybe from a balancing perspective, just to say like somebody needs to compete against orange. But yeah, it's tricky from that standpoint. You know, I think if Red thought he was going to get the 9, 10, 11 too, maybe he would have gone for the or port. Not sure. But yeah, I
Yeah,
agree. Probably the 9, 10, 11 and the trade your way up is probably one of the better options here.
I think 6-3-11. It's a little slow to start because you need like multiple nines. You're hoping for like brick for wood trades to get your settlements going, but
Mhm.
after you get to the wood port, it's not bad at all, and you get on the 10 pretty fast. Maybe you can trade sheep for wheat with Pern, so it's not bad.
So I do think one situation here is he could have gone 6, 11, 12 point left. Right? So he starts with the wheat, he starts with the sheep, and then he just road settles onto the wood or 6, 3, 11.
Yeah, the starting sheep would have made things a little faster for sure.
Yeah.
And again, like first settlement 6-3-11, it's like even more wood. But yeah, it's not bad. Anytime you can pick up a 3 hex, it's exciting.
Man, yeah, this is tricky. I think red definitely has probably the hardest game here. Right? Like you're playing with literally realistically you're playing with 2 resources with the occasional wheat that rolls. So probably has to get to that sheep just to try to make his hand a little bit more versatile in terms of his rolls. Woodport, I think, has to happen. Maybe as like your second settlement. So like go like 9, 10, double the brick, and then run to the Woodport. Probably his best play there. And then he's kind of
Yeah,
playing like the side by side road game. Yeah,
I
man.
think definitely doubling the brick first. It's got to be a priority because if you're playing road, you can't count on the nines high rolling, so you need to double them as soon as you can.
Yeah. He does have, to be fair, the amount of additional brick, like between. Oh, what happened here? Okay. I guess there was a glitch in the video, but okay. Okay, so let's just take stock here. So you see that blue took the 9-10-2, right?
Yep,
Okay.
makes a lot of sense. Opens up a 3 hex and tradable sheep.
Yeah, yeah. So we've got a game here. Really shocked by Black's decision. I think they were gifted, I think, one of the best setups on the board, and they kind of deviated. So, okay, we'll see how that works out. Pern's definitely the target here, right? He's probably going to go for an early city. I think Blue's got an interesting situation. Probably, what would you do as Blue? Would you double the wheat, do you think, or would you go take the center space
Um,
as far as like
I think you
objectives?
think taking the space at the start, it makes a lot of sense. You can get more ore, and then also doubling your 3 probably makes your second settle quicker.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, yeah, you go for the spot that might not be there later.
Okay. And for Philip, Dory here, I think, man, he's got to go 9-10 Woodport and then just like try to build a city from there. I think that's going to be his plan of action. So good luck, everyone. Have a good game. There we go. So can he get, this is the right trade, right? Like just looking for the rare resources, looking for the sheep, looking for the wheat. Perfect. Damn.
Yeah, that was great because he's got a competitor for these sheep trades, which is Pern. He also doesn't have sheep. So if
Mm-hmm.
you can be the first one to ask for the trade and get it 1-for-1, I think that's
Yeah.
spectacular start.
Also here, Philip, be careful not to give up too much. Okay, so this is the first line of this. We can deviate here a little bit, right? Talking about objectives and figure out your plan. Um, I guess the question is, what does the 510 offer you versus the 910? Like, okay, you get more wood. Well, you've got a ton of wood here. So thinking about your ratios, if you go to 910, like obviously having more bricks going to suit your overall like wood and brick ratios a lot more. And of course, then you're going to go to the wood port with that extra brick. So I don't think the 510 is that critical. And frankly, I think black's probably going to run to the brick port in most cases. So
Yeah, I mean, it's not like a horrible move at all because, as we've seen, there is demand for this wood. He's getting wood for brick trades, but it is a risk because if you get plowed here, that wasted road is it's devastating.
true. Man, he's always close to plowing to the 8. You see that?
Yeah,
That'd be a very interesting move. I don't know if I'd do it, but oh, that's a great. Oh, I don't know if I want to give the plow though.
I'd be pretty nervous right now.
Yeah, which is also another reason I just think 910 to Woodport. Typically, like for me, when I'm playing road style games, well, that's an interesting trade too. When I'm playing road style games, to me, like, okay, if I can get a really good expansion spot, great. But you got to get that port up and running as quickly as you can. So I guess you could still go to Woodport from here, but I just don't like how he's like the ratios are going to build. Oh, okay, that's nice.
Okay, wow. He was able to write in chat, offer them a better deal so they don't trade him the plow. So that was a great kind of bailout there.
Nice. Also another interesting trade, but he is going to be producing the sheep here after this orbit on the 10.
Yeah, I don't want to be giving away the bricks. I think it's going to need every brick to get onto the 910 and then Woodport. A lot of bricks.
So Ray,
this trade is.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to get the 2 cards and not go over, fantastic. Yeah, can't do that. So Ray, you're known for your development card games. Obviously, you've won mini tournaments, pulling a few knights here and there and some VPs. As far as Road, kind of what's your general thoughts? How would you say it kind of deviates when you're playing in ranked games? I know you talked about the importance of ore, but there is some interesting data that's come out recently, thanks to your video, about how dominant some of these road games have been recently in the meta.
Yeah, I think for sure what we've seen, at least in like high level games between good Div 1 players, is that the road is doing very well because people, the army can be countered by feeding like the 3rd or 4th place player devs, like 1 dev per turn to give them army. And road is like a bit more reliable in that if you're expanding to high production spots, you're just going to have consistent income. And then in the end game, you can close. So yeah, I think the general rule of thumb is like the better the competition, the more you should think about playing road.
That's an interesting way to look at it. I think too, like people don't appreciate just be able to get onto different hexes, right? Like diversifying your numbers versus like if you're playing Orway Sheep, it tends to be a lot more of a static situation. Like for instance, like in Pern's situation, he's probably not going to get any additional numbers, maybe the 2, right? But his setup is kind of stuck in terms of his roles. Versus a road player can easily pick up an extra 2, 3, 4 and more numbers throughout the journey of building that setup. And so it's like it can snowball really quickly if you're not conscious about that player.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, here you can expand to the 411 later on to pick up the 4. He's already picked up the 10. So he's got 3, 4, 5, 6.
Oof, great roll.
9, 10, 11. Just missing 8 after he gets 411.
Yeah, if he gets a 10, 3, 11, he's cooking. So this is interesting. So he's kind of saying that his main port here is going to be the 3-1 port. It's not necessarily that's like a bad play, right? Like it's a great port. I think it's going to work well. But if you really look at your output of resources, I mean, it'd be interesting to count the pips, right? But what percentage of your productions in wood? It's well over 60%. And that's general my role for 2-for-1 ports is if I feel like I have 60 or more percent of a resource as like my main production, it really does favor that 2-for-1 port. So that was like my KPI, or that was kind of my flag as far as saying like the wood port was the play here. But the 3-1 port works. I just think it's going to be a little bit slower than you would probably like here.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Drew. I think it's tough to imagine him ever 3-to-1ing bricks because you want to use those bricks for roads and settlements. And then the sheep, Burn doesn't make sheep, so that's like a tradable resource. So I don't want a 3-to-1 sheep either.
Mhm.
And the wheat, you only have the 11 right now. I think in general, yeah, maybe getting over to 9-10 than the wood port, kind of more efficient.
Now the flip side of that though is that I've seen this thing in ranked before, and maybe you've experienced it too, where people just overestimate 2-for-1 ports. Where for some reason, if you get a 2-for-1 port early, you get blocked at death. That could be a very interesting pacing consideration for him, right? Like maybe he doesn't want to like paint himself too much of a target. But the issue here is that you have to move quickly on this board because these setups, like Pern setup, can really explode. So I just don't think you have a lot of time to waste. So you kind of have to
Yeah,
pace as hard as you can. Oh wow, what's
it's
that?
diplomatic.
That's one way to put it. Um,
Yeah.
I can't really see a good reason to do that here as blue, right? Like block the 8, right? Like neutralize the wheat as much as you can. But yeah,
I
even
don't get it.
yeah,
But I think sometimes people do this thing where they pretend like they don't know what they're doing or that they're a bad player by, blocking the desert or something.
really? You've seen that?
Yeah. Be trying to fly under the radar.
I see people talking dumb, but oh, there we go. Or I think Or's a pretty decent deal here. Brick is probably always on the menu. What's the critical block here in your opinion, Ray? 10's
I want
okay.
to block the sheep because
Yeah.
if the sheep rolls, they each get 2 and then they trade it to Pern for city materials and he devs and they city. And I think just shutting down the sheep means that
Exactly.
if more 10s hit, you can be the one trading sheep away.
Yeah, I mean effectively you have pace on the development card game by blocking the 9. So, like, if you think about it from that standpoint, like the ability as the road player to determine like how many devs are going to hit the board, that's massive. Versus the 10 does obviously hurt blue, I say a lot more than orange, but they're still the 5, they're still the 11. But you can stop the entire development card train by hitting the 9.
And there we see they just did a wheat for sheep trade. So,
Yep.
and then the 9 rolled. So there's more sheep.
Yeah, I mean that's easily going to result into 2 more devs in this game.
Yeah, there's 4 sheep out there.
Yeah.
It's like the least valuable resource now.
Okay, interesting hand here. Where does he go? What does he do? Yeah, I think you're probably not going to get a 1-for-1 here on the ore. There's always this kind of like stigma with the road player getting a city, right? So a lot of cases they'll probably charge him 2 cards if he wants the ore. As they probably should.
I like 9-10 here. Just get your brick up.
I agree. Yeah. Even like still with 9-10, and then you can run to the wood port. How about even just going to the wood port now? You know what I mean? Like your 5's doubled, your 6 is doubled. Just drop 2 roads.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. I see that.
Yeah, so I just want to take a quick pause because like I just want to kind of review a few things. What I'm getting concerned about here, Ray, is that he's going to settle 9-10 and he's just going to get stuck. Right? It's like a very classic situation as a road player where you've kind of tapped out all your settles and you're kind of saying like, oh, now I have to build the city. But because the board knows you need the city so badly, they're either going to make it extremely difficult by charging you or not trading you at all, or just robbing you to stop you from building the city. So I'm getting a little concerned that you're going to tap out pretty quickly. Like you're going to hit that ceiling of what the road player could do.
Yeah, you're more of a road guy than me, but I think generally people like to like subtly collect some ores throughout the beginning of the game. Like you get 1 here, you steal 1. At some point you've got 2 in your hand. People aren't really tracking and they trade you the city.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah.
works out better than having no ore, 1 card and trying to get 3. It's going to be pretty tough.
Yeah. Which is why, honestly, I love going to the wood port. Like, we had a situation where we could drop 2 roads to the wood port. Honestly, I think you settle wood port, you roll a couple 5s, you roll a 6, you roll an 11. That's a city right there. But as soon as you settle, your hand's gonna empty. You're gonna have no cards. You're gonna have no war. You're gonna have to 3 for 1. Like, that's gonna require you to get an 11 and 9 wood. It's going to be like a very clunky situation there. So be interesting to see how he navigates that. Pern, really Pern, like, he's got 2 missions, right? He's got the port now, which is good. He needs a city and he needs to buy devs. And if he can get those like easy trades, 1 for 1, like wheat for sheep, like you said, I think he's got a very smooth game. Blue's done quite well, actually. I don't know if they've just been trading aggressively, maybe a couple 4s, but like city, and then they've also even got the potential road play.
Yeah, Blue's setup looks incredible right now. Road settle the 3-1, and try to city again.
Mm-hmm.
Like 4 city long road is an option for them.
Yeah. I feel like I did some videos about that recently. Man, these 10s are crushing. Which kind of, you don't want to see it as Philip, right? Because there's 4 ore hitting the board when you get that 1 sheep.
Yeah. And I'm not like saying he has to do it now, but at some point it might be like desperation, buy 3 devs, hope to pull the mono and mono all the ore. We're not quite there yet, but we might get there in a bit.
So, it's something I think every time we've done content, right? Talked about like you've really prioritized going into the dev deck to pull the mono, which, like, okay, everyone wants to pull the mono, but you actually, I feel like you make that a strategy when you play development cards. It's like, okay, maybe you're not going to get every game, but you're going to get it every other game, and that's like good enough for you. I find that like fascinating that you take that approach. Like, you really do make it a mission to go for that card.
Yeah, I mean, people say like the mono is a win condition. You've got road, you got army, you got the mono.
If you pull 2 monos, oh my god, you better not lose the game.
Yeah, and people kind of underestimate how likely you are to pull it if you buy a lot of devs. Like, if you buy 7 devs, you're more like 50% likely to get a mono, or at least 1 mono. So
yeah, makes sense. Okay, so he's trying to communicate with the board. I mean, I kind of agree that like you shouldn't be the target here. I guess maybe Pern blocked you there, which I'm not crazy about that block personally. But obviously it's working pretty, oh my god, it's working pretty well for blue and orange here. Yeah, so this is kind of showing you the idea that you don't have time to like get these kind of fast settles, right? Like, going for that wood port was probably your best way to get momentum. It just feels like he's pacing a little bit behind because of these settles that he went for.
that's tough.
Okay, we lot
I mean,
can
the
happen.
7, the robber's been on this 5 for a while, so he's a bit unlucky to not have like pulled a 7. Or...
Sure, yeah.
But yeah,
it's also rolled too, and feels like blue's just been rolling really well. Like, we've seen a few 10s. The 3 just rolled, which is a monster roll for blue. And I think he's probably close to getting the settle. I think here, man, it almost feels like he needs to go for the wood port still. Like, I'm doubling down on this fact. Like, he can go for the settle on the 9-10, but then he just gets stuck.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, I'm agreeing with you, Crane. I think if all else fails, he's got plenty of wood here. He can probably port for the ore. I think that seems like a pretty decent consideration.
I wonder if there's ever a trade where you give Pern the 5-2 settle in exchange for like 2 ores off of 5, or something, like some creative deal where you get multiple ores, because they need him to fight road against blue. So
all right, so this, I think you got a port there, right? I think porting for a rare resource, porting for the ore, like the ore is never bad in your hand, especially as you're trying to build a city, and you just you can't afford the 7 out here. So little hand management there. I'd like your thinking, Ray, as far as working with Pern. Like, I think that actually could happen because they kind of know each other. But generally speaking, in ranked, you don't really see a lot of those future card deals. Like even in things like insurance, like these new age tactics, I think as far as it goes is really like non-blocks and non-steals at this point. So,
Yeah, I think you're right. You can't trust people to follow through. I've been burned in some ranked deals before, but it's like a desperation moment, so you kind of got to take a chance. So I would even, if you wanted it, like let's say Pern had a wheat here, I would give him wood, brick, sheep for the settle, like 3 for 1 in exchange for 3 ores off the next 5 or something. Then
yeah, yeah.
boom, you've solved your
Yeah, that's super
solved
creative.
your
That's super creative. I mean, the funny thing is, the only way you would know these deals if you play in the discords, right? Because this is happening in the discords at a pretty high rate. But these are the kind of deals that you really don't see in ranked. So I don't know, man. I think the meta in ranked has a lot of room to grow still. Like I think in the last year they've only just started to really do a lot of this deal making that we've seen in Discord. So, but it's cool that like your brain just immediately goes to that idea.
Well, that's why ore is so strong, is because if there aren't a lot of trades, it's just harder to get your hands on it. So I think playing oreless in ranked is it's just really difficult.
All right, so black. I mean, we might see a. Well, you can't solo because black doesn't have any cards. We could see a potential 3. I don't think the 5's the block here. Honestly, black's doing pretty well though. Okay, unfortunate. All right, probably going to have to give up 2 cards to get that wheat. Probably like a wood sheep. You can do the 1-for-1. I think that's awesome. So, obviously, Dory's a little bit behind, right? Like he's probably going to struggle in the next couple orbits. Like, how do you, like, what kind of mindset do you put yourself in when you realize, like, okay, I have a tough game ahead of me? That's a good trade. That's your card right there.
Mm-hmm.
Take it, Philip. Yeah. So, like, what, like, in these situations, like, how do you kind of fight yourself out of a bad situation? Like, are there things that you find you do, or?
Yeah, I think it's kind of time to do some balancing. Like, you got to look at who's playing road, who's playing army, and try to extend the game as long as you can to give yourself more time.
Yeah, I think that's a
so
good
right
point.
now, yeah, the biggest threat is blue. Road settling and winning with a quick road, like a road settle, cities, couple roads type of thing.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's a good point. Like when the game gets imbalanced, I mean, you can always kind of lean on the call for balancing as far as like getting good trades too. There's a lot of cases where if you're helping the guy that's in second place army, they'll give you 2 cards to help them keep popping. So I like the fact that he's definitely being, he's definitely communicating quite a bit here. Yeah, these rolls have just been a juggernaut for blue. Like 3s and 10s.
I do think like the good thing about the setup is that the 6 is like a solo tile, so people haven't solo blocked him on the 6. And I think that's another reason maybe going 9-10 first is better, is because people are more reluctant. They're not going to solo block the 9. Whereas the 5, you doubled it, but now it's just getting blocked. So
Right. Okay, so he skips the brick. I think
cool.
I think if we could have got a trade for an extra brick, I prefer to open up the 9-10 there. As the road player, you want a lot of fast points. Now, okay, this is good, with the wood ports live, but you did kill the 9-10 by not dropping one more road. It's a subtle detail, but honestly, it could make a big difference.
Yeah, we'll see if that comes back to haunt us or not. I think in general, the 9-10 is like, it's more production, and now you might have to road settle the 9, which is awkward for the road network. Whereas if you went 9-10 and 10, then that's like the clean loop.
Yeah, you can
loop the 10.
10. Exactly, yeah. This is the thing. It's like it's just subtle details, right? Like I like the subtle. We need the wood port. We've needed the wood port, I think, for the last 3 or 4 orbits. But these like little 1%. I always talk like that's what Catan's about. But okay, we have rolls this orbit to get a city 6 and 11. We drop a city for 6 points and we're cooking.
Yeah.
I'll have to rewatch from the beginning. Is Ray playing? Ray is not playing. Okay, we're getting deals. We're wheeling and dealing.
Nice.
Yeah, this is huge. Oof.
Yeah, we really need a 7 here.
Yeah, it's. I think he just road settles. Hey, you gotta. Hopefully, you can get Pern to play a knight here. I think he needs to aggressively play a knight. Oh man.
Stuff rolls.
Okay, so this is part of the balancing, right? He's going to be taking road. Honestly, it might even be the case where you could probably do like a 2-for-1 because you are behind. Or what you can do here is you can actually get 2 cards from Pern so he can aggressively play a knight. So that's what I would do. I would try to get 2 cards out of his hand and then give him the space to where if he plays the knight, he doesn't go over. Because he's not incentivized to play the knight right now.
A little unfortunate that we're forced to take road here when we really wanted to be saving for the city, but it's probably pretty forced. So
Exactly.
maybe you'd like to give away only 1 sheep if you can, but we're playing hardball.
What do you think about going to the 9-12 here?
Like 5 roads. I think you need 6 to stop blue.
No, you're right. You're right. Yeah.
But yeah, this is not ideal.
Yeah, the road network is pretty funky here, Philip. Is it still possible to win here for red? No dev value, and cities hardly depends on 11s and lucky trades. Red could still win. Yeah, I mean, I think Pern, if he has a knight, he needs to play one. Like, he just needs to put pressure. Also, I don't know if blue has a knight, but if he does, you don't want to give him pacing either. What do you think? Can red still win this?
Yeah, just need to pull the mono. Then they're in good shape.
Damn. Okay, so you might just go into the dev deck then if you get 1 or 2 pops.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, now it's tough because he's going to need a city, and it's unlikely he pulls 3 VPs, right? So,
ooh,
there we go.
We needed that. We needed that, squad.
Yeah.
Good. Now Pern is like, the engine's on now. Well,
Wow.
the good news is he's wiped the hand from blue, but the bad news is one of the monos are gone now.
Yeah. And Pern really set that up with that last trade. He got us to take road, which is good for him, and he got 2 sheep, which is where these dev cards came from.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that was just a high level play there.
I would accept this. Yeah, I probably would have taken that deal there.
Yeah.
Okay. But you know what? 11 in a couple rolls. We're looking okay here. Yeah, it's been okay. Good. Kind of hard to evaluate here. I mean, if red's just going to be dropping roads, it might just be Pern.
I think it is Pern, yeah, because you can always extend, but nobody's fighting army, so.
Oh, he does have a knight. And you know what's funny about this? Remember, blue was the one who blocked the 12, right? Like, if he just played a little bit more normal, right, he might have slowed down orange's potential, maybe by an orbit or so.
Yep.
So every play matters. Oof.
Yeah, I mean, Pern has no cards, and I think it's either 4 or 6. I think 6 is pretty impactful, so.
Nice.
Makes sense.
Yeah, but it kind of feels like black's kind of building to 10 here. I mean, they do have a road play potential, but.
Yeah, 1 more settlement left on the 6, and then probably need a VP or a second city.
Yeah. Also, it's kind of tricky here. I mean, once we get the 695 city up and running, I think we're definitely going to have a pretty decent shot. But man, this is like with the 1 brick on the 9 right now, it's a little funky. Blue
Yeah.
doubled. I bet red only pulled 2 devs before the end. Yeah, they shouldn't really be pulling devs at this stage, right? Like their hand needs to be dedicated to the city because they can't do anything unless they city. Plus, my strategy when I'm playing primarily a 2-1 port game is I kind of go for the city as soon as I possibly can, just because you are kind of dealing with that efficiency on the 2-for-1.
Yeah. I think getting a VP now, I mean, it's good, but it's also not good in that you're still going to need a city because the only way you win without building a city is pulling 3 VPs here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not going to happen. So you get your city as soon as you can to up production. And then if the deck is hot, like if people keep pulling knights, you got to try to pull later.
Yeah, yeah. Something that I always like, we do one of the sessions together for TSI. You always talk about the fact that you want to usually pull 1 to 2 devs in the middle game, like in the early middle game. By the way, the best role for him right there, because you want the devs to illuminate your path, right? So, for instance, if red does pull devs early on, maybe that might kind of shift his gears into army. If he pulls a VP and a road builder, then he's going to double down on road. Maybe that might apply more to development card player in general, but you do really let the devs play your game in terms of giving you the most efficient path. And that's something I've learned from you as well, quite a bit.
Yeah, I think maybe if like we had a quick start and we got like 9-10 quick and the Woodport quick, and maybe popping devs and getting army and keeping the 8 blocked or the 10 blocked, it might have that might have been a thing. But I think at this point, like getting knights is not the best.
Yeah, we just need to get our production up right now. I can see a situation where we don't get a roll and then we're stuck with the hand that we currently have, and then we have to start making some decisions, right? Do we pop?
Yeah,
do we port?
There's a lot of ore out there, so maybe we get a sheep for ore, sheep wood for ore.
Exactly, yeah. Hey, it's not unlikely if Pern has a bunch of knights, he gets army. He keeps blue at bay. Oof. All right, best roll ever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, here we go. Okay. I still think going for the ore trade's not bad. There might be a situation where maybe you can city pop.
Blue pass on 11 cards. They didn't get any cards off
Yeah.
the 6. It's okay.
Oh, I think you take, man. I think we take the risk.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, you
Just
take
hope
the risk.
P7's out.
Yeah. He's got a lot of rolls here. He's giving you what you want. Okay. Does it give us... So would we have had a city there? No, we would have a dev, right? We had an extra dev in our hand? I think so.
Didn't have to port the wood. Yeah.
Maybe. Or maybe we were
It would definitely be set up. We'd be closer to second city or dev. So I think
Philip, that was worth taking, honestly. Like at this point, you got to take some risk. Blue looks like Pern is... Yeah, Pern's going for army here. Still think he wants to consider maybe hitting the 3. You're doing quite well at 8. But the problem is...
Oh.
Yeah, I don't think that calls for it. Knowing your hand's mostly sheep, what are you going to do with that?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Because blue is probably at 9 with 3 roads and they have 11 cards. So.
Yeah, exactly. Blue could just win this turn. So if the 3 rolls, I think it's actually over.
And then blocking the brick, I think you want brick on the board so that we can extend road.
Exactly.
Yeah, I might block if you're gonna block us. I might block the 6 wood maybe. 5 wood.
I think the 3 is actually not bad as well. Just it does also stop blue. Like that's a monster roll. I'd almost say blue wins the game with a 3 at this point.
Yeah. It's possible he robbed us for the sheep.
And he missed it.
Yes.
Okay.
That's probably.
Well,
he's doing great. He's doing.
Need a 7 here. Oof.
Red is doing well. Blue's doing well.
I think that's one thing. Maybe if Pern saw his hand, he might consider not doing that, right? If he's got literally 3 sheep in a wood. it might not be the solo there. And so, I mean, that could just be a function of like, tracking a little bit more clear to see like, does Dory have potential winning rolls? Nah, probably not. Could he get the 9? Yes. But what's worse than that is blue could just win the game. So, okay. A little bit of a lag there. So it looked like a 9 rolled, which was unfortunate. But I think blue is very, very close to winning here.
Yeah.
That block is a dagger to the heart. It's pretty tough, yeah.
I don't know blue's hand, but I'm not sure about popping here. I feel like he's pretty close. Just needs a road settle the 8 and take road.
Yeah, if he's got a VP, then he just needs to get a point along his road for sure. If he's pulling knights, it's kind of dead. And he's not even blocked, so. Look at all your cards. Maybe not Pern. I mean, he could have the mono too. Right? He could be at 6 points.
It's classy messages.
Oh, the road builder. Okay.
Okay.
I'm putting, well, so now he's on 7. Probably with the knight, if he's being honest.
Yeah, so Pern's looking great here. I mean, 2 VP knight is just solid 9, and studying is so easy for him.
Yeah.
5 plus 8.
See, this is kind of the tricky situation now. You would like to, you don't have anywhere you can go that actually extends your road while going to a settle spot. And this is like, as a road player, that's like the best part. It's like it has that progressive nature to it, but now you have to like loop the 10s. It's like dead space.
Yeah. And I think here you don't actually want to extend. Yeah, you want to ask for like free cards to extend, because you're not opening up settle spots by extending unless you like loop the 12 or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Pern probably wins next turn, but if he doesn't, you
I think Pern has
you want him to have to pay you. Yeah. Like, this is not fair. We should be getting multiple cards to extend our road.
Yeah. I might even just drop the road on the 9-12, honestly, because I mean, I think his connects even 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, it's 8 here. I think he just wins, man. Yeah, looks like he's got it. That's the old classic GG. 1781. Nicely done, Dory. All right. So let's just go back a little bit. Felt like a pretty quick game, honestly. Okay, so I mean, I think he just dropped the city here. I guess, what were some big takeaways for you, Ray? I don't actually dislike his setup, right? Like, it's kind of got that side by side. He's got the road game going. But I do think the ordering of some of the moves, like, he made it probably a little bit more difficult than it needed to be, right? Like, we kind of saw that 9-10 to Woodport was kind of like really the objective that I think would give him the most momentum. And he just, sometimes that 1 or 2 deviations in the early game can really make it a lot more difficult in the end game for you.
Yeah, I think so. I think the people don't have the discipline not to trade the or wheat player sheep. And, as soon as that 9 popped a couple times, he was just getting sheep trades for army. I think giving him multiple sheep for us to take road, that just gave him army for free. And I think if he can just, obviously he got the mono and he won, so no surprise there. But generally, like, the problem with or wheat is that you get your cities up quick, but you can't pop. But if you're getting the devs 101, then Bryn is going to win most of the time here.
And also, too, like, there was a block when I think he blocked the 10 ore, right? You were talking about that 9 sheep where effectively, as the road player, you can control the development cards that come out of this board. I think that was also a missed opportunity because, it's funny. As soon as he blocked the 10, I think the 9 rolled, and then Pern got some trades, and he bought another dev, right? So I think that was a missed opportunity potentially to control the pace of the game, which doesn't happen very often as a road player, that's for sure.
I feel like what we want is for Pern to like be stuck sitting early and then have like a bunch of excess ore and wheat in their hand that we can trade for.
Hmm.
Um, that's
Or
better than them. Like, yeah, sorry.
no, sorry, no, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just saying, also considering how strong Orange is, like they should really never get army. Like they probably will because it's ranked and communication can be kind of spotty. But in a perfect world, you would try to communicate to Black and say like, "Hey, let's give you devs, right? Like let's have you be the person who actually flips a knight for 2 points and not Perm." And it's just like if we look
Yeah.
at the situation here, it's like nobody was really fighting army, which honestly is a massive problem when you look at how strong Pern setup actually is.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
you made a really good
yeah.
point in the middle of the game, Ray, about balancing, right? Like that's probably something too, Philip, you could take note of and say like, as a road player, you have a responsibility obviously to balance road, and you were doing that, but you also should be conscious of balancing the army game as much as possible. And sometimes it's okay to stop the game in the middle of your turn and have like a little bit of a conversation about who should be doing what. I mean, it doesn't always work, but it could certainly help in certain situations.
Yeah. The point about Orange having army, it's too easy for them because let's say they've got their 4 settles, like road settle the 3-1 and then 5-2. That's 4 points.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a couple cities is 6, armies 8, and then they can just plop down cities off a 5 and an 8 or 5 and a 4.
Mm-hmm.
It's just too easy to close if they have army. So they probably just shouldn't be allowed to get army.
Yeah. Overall, though, I mean, I think you had some interesting opportunities there, and I do find Catan's a game of 1%. There's never really going to be like one play that's going to completely win or lose you the game, but it's just making those good plays consistently, right? And if for us, if we can find 7 to 8 different things in a game, I mean, that's a huge optimization, and you still got the 8 points to be fair. So I think overall, given the fact that you're playing a 2 resource setup for most part, like you played it pretty well there, Dory. So
Yeah, he did play well. I mean, and it shows he's like crushing it in the rankings.
yeah, just had to go against Pern. So nice, man. Ray, I appreciate it, buddy. I think the community always has pleasure of you joining onto these games and being part of it. So just want to say thank you for your time and some of your insights there.
Thanks, Drew. See you guys around.